How am I supposed to get experience if you won't hire me? Have you ever found yourself saying this when filling out a job application as a welder, trying to hire in as a welder somewhere? They need you to have 2 to 5 years worth of welding experience. Maybe you've put in a couple of applications and the reason that they won't hire you is because you don't have enough experience. If you have experienced this, I'm sure that is very, very frustrating. Luckily for you, in today's video, I'm gonna share 3 options for you so you can start getting experience. That way you can put that on your resume and you can go get that better paying welding job. Okay, so since you clicked on this video, I'm assuming that you have some welding experience. You've probably been to welding school, you've got a couple of certs, you've learned from a buddy for a couple of months, 3 months or whatever. Maybe you've been self-teaching for a little while and you just feel confident that you can make a clean weld, but you just don't have enough experience to get that good paying welding job that you've been striving for all along. And I imagine that is a very frustrating feeling. I remember trying so hard and being very persistent whenever I was trying to get my first mobile welding job, like steady job. I was working for myself. I had worked at Steel Supply right after high school for like 3 years, real low pay and entry level welding job. But I had been building the rig the whole time and I knew I wanted to work out of my welding truck, but since I wasn't established and couldn't get enough work on my own, like, you know, just doing mobile welding on my own, I knew of a drilling rig yard that was hiring welders because of my job at the Steel Supply. I met some rig welders. I didn't know this specific rig welder. I don't think I'd ever met him before, but it was a new drilling rig company. I knew they were fixing to be needing welders. And so I kept stopping at this drilling rig yard very frequent. I don't remember if it was every day or a couple times a week, but it was very frequent. I was honest with the fella. His name's Charlie from Louisiana. I told him how much experience I had, which wasn't much. He could just tell I was, I don't know, 20, 21 at the time. I was young. He could just tell I didn't have much experience, but I had a welding truck and I kept stopping in there time and time again. And to kind of get me by, because I wasn't sure if I was going to get that job or not, I got me another single hand welding job. And I worked at that single hand welding job, welding on mud pits for about a week. And after a week of working there, Charlie called me and he said he would give me a chance. And I couldn't even believe that I got the phone call. I was so excited. But all that to say is I remember that feeling of just wanting so bad to get that job, having the passion, but not having the experience. It's super frustrating. So like I said, I'm gonna share 3 options that you can do to start getting welding experience. Number 1 is get your own experience. Some of you watching are probably already doing this. If you don't know about our online courses, arosswelding.school, we have a pipe fence course over there. That would be a great way to get welding experience on your own. I got tons of welding experience in high school, even before I graduated. I guess I was already going to welding school, but I've been welding on pipe fence ever since I essentially started my welding career, and I've got tons of welding experience that way. And there is so much stuff that I learned from fitting saddles that I took onto my pipeline career. In fact, I still use it today. The whole concept of getting something to fit right with a grinder, with a soapstone, with your eyeball, obviously using tools also like squares and tape measures and stuff, but getting stuff to fit right, I learned all that from building pipe fence. So building pipe fence is a great way to get experience, and we've built a whole online course full of everything you need to know about building pipe fence. So that's one way you can get experience, is by taking online courses. Another way is to get an entry-level welding job. It's not gonna pay as much as that pipe welding job where the weld's gotta be x-rayed, or a mobile rig welding job that pays $100+ an hour, but it's going to gain you experience. My first welding job right after welding school paid $9, maybe $9.50 an hour back in 2007, I believe. Yeah, 2007, $9.50 an hour. Back then, a good single hand welding job in my area, not traveling, was like $15 an hour. So whenever I heard $9 an hour, I wasn't very excited, trust me, because as I've talked about in previous videos, I had a lot of confidence after welding school because I left welding school with a skill, with something that I didn't know how to do whenever I first started welding school. So I felt overly confident, to say the least, but I did pay my dues and I worked there for 3 years, just soaking up all the experience. So then I was able to, whenever I did try to get that rig welding job, I at least was able to tell him that I worked here for 3 years, I've got fabrication experience, you know what I mean? And he still had trouble giving me a job, simply because he didn't know me, he didn't know my skill set. His job was on the line because he was gonna hire a 20-year-old kid, you know? I still am extremely thankful for Charlie to this day. Anyway, entry-level welding job. These would be lower paying welding jobs. You could probably search low paying welding jobs, but I don't know if you're gonna find much, because most people online that are posting job opportunities online are going to be saying things like great paying welding job, but maybe entry-level welding job. Any kind of assembly line. Ditch Witch, if you live in America, you may have heard of Ditch Witch. That's a good entry-level welding job. Any company that mass produces something like boat trailers, flatbed trailers, storm shelters is another one. Here in Oklahoma, we have tornadoes, and there's a storm shelter company around here. They build storm shelters. That's a good entry-level welding job. Obviously, you got to be willing to work for lower pay, and this is the time to value the experience way more than the amount per hour. This is the time in your career to really focus on getting experience and not worrying, literally, in my opinion, not worrying one bit about how much it pays. In fact, I would encourage you to look for jobs that you're interested in, like something that you're interested in building. Like, you want to learn how to build a trailer? Go work for a boat manufacturer company. Are you interested in how truck beds are built? Go work for CM flatbeds or any of those other Western Hauler, you know, the ones that stamp out those flatbeds. There's tons of those manufacturer companies. Like, whatever you do, just value the experience that you're getting way more than the amount per hour, because that's what you need right now. Some of you might be thinking right now, yeah, but I want to be a pipeline welder. I want to be a pipe welder. How is that fabrication job, you know, building a truck bed, going to help me weld pipe? Let me tell you from my experience, everything that I learned about fabricating, squaring stuff on structural stuff at Stillwater Steel, that 3 years that I worked right after high school, right after welding school, working for $9.50 an hour, everything I learned there, I was able to apply whenever I started pipe fabrication. I learned more things about pipe fabrication, but the basic idea I learned right there at that entry-level welding job. A measurement is a measurement. Square is square. You can apply basic fundamentals of fabrication to pipe fabrication. So that's the second one, entry-level welding job. Number 3, if 1 and 2 doesn't fit your fancy, offer to work for free or cheap. Offering to work for free or for a cheaper rate says everything about your attitude about your career. It says you're serious about your career. It says you're selfless about what you're bringing to the table. Like, it says you're not worried about the amount per hour. You're worried about getting experience for your career. You're thinking more about the value that you're bringing to the table, the confidence behind your ability to bring value to the table. In other words, whenever I say that I'm willing to work for you for free, in my opinion, I'm saying that I'm confident. I'm saying that you're not gonna be able to not pay me because of all the value that I'm bringing to your company. All that to say is your time frame of having to work for free isn't gonna be very long. And like I said, be willing to work for cheap or for a Google review, or just be creative. I've talked about some of these other ideas, these creative ideas about how to get experience. Any of these principles that I talk about in my videos can be applied to working for somebody else as a single hand welder. They can be applied to working for yourself, building your own mobile welding business, or whatever that looks like. But just being creative and aware of where you're at in the process of your own experience, you know, as far as working for yourself, running your own business, or working for somebody else. One thing that just came to mind was something that I've heard some motivational speakers say. Brian Tracy, Ziggs probably said it. They all talk about how no matter whether you're working for somebody else or yourself, they all talk about this concept of even whenever you're an employee for somebody else, you're still working for yourself. I say that to remind us to have a mindset of how valuable am I to this company, or how valuable am I to my customers, versus my customers owe me this because I'm worth this much. It's an entitlement mindset, or this company owes me this much or needs to be paying me this much because I'm worth this much. It's, again, an entitlement mindset. So just reminding us that we're self-employed. We need to take responsibility over what we are actually doing to bring value to our company, whether that's our own company or the company we're working for. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you learned something. Like I said earlier, check out our online courses to get your very own experience there at arosswelding.school. For more helpful resources, check out our main website, arosswelding.com. And for more helpful information about mobile rig welding or welding in general, check out these videos. Have an awesome weekend, and remember, learn something every day.